As a Christian writer, you should care about what the Christian readers are actually looking for. And today, that's what we're going to talk about on the podcast. So just stay tuned. Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey toward publication. I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance. Are we frozen? All right. I'm not sure if I'm frozen or if Jamie's frozen, but we're going to continue going. Oh, it looks like it might be Jamie. We're going to continue going as well as we can. There she is. She's back. Maybe she's not. All right. Well,
I know what's going on. Hi, everybody.
I just introduced myself. This is Jamie Hirsch. This is Jamie J.R. Nichols. Just do it.
Yes, I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols, and I'm so happy to be with you today.
And we're having some technical difficulties, obviously, but we're also having some great conversations already started in the chat. We knew Jamie was we were having some issues, so I went to the chat and I said, while we wait, what's everyone having for breakfast? Me, fried pickle ranch potato chips and caramel maple iced coffee. So good. So we do have some people sharing. Piper says that she had delicious cinnamon coffee roll flavored coffee creamer in her coffee. That's delicious. Catherine Carol says, I just had my collagen buttery bone broth ready for the day. That sounds good too. Jason Marsh is here as well. He says, good morning.
Pastor Jason
Marsh. Yes, congratulations. He just had a piece of leftover pizza. That's one of my favorite breakfasts, honestly. All right. So and Catherine says Jamie's iced coffee froze her. That was our problem. That's the technological problem. But good morning, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. We are so glad you're here. If you are joining us live, please say hello in the chat. We have a great group of Christian writers that show up for each other and encourage each other and share their knowledge. And it's a great community. If you have never joined us live on the podcast, first of all, we really appreciate you listening to us as a podcast. We have probably just as many, if not more, listeners as a podcast than we do as over here on YouTube. But we would love for you to join us some Friday. We broadcast live every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on our podcast channel. So,
and if you come and watch the show, you can see when Jen experiments with her hair. She's got the board.
Okay,
going on today. Yeah, it looks cool. You look like you're ready to go do a rock concert. I love it.
Okay, so let's talk menopause. So my hair has thinned out considerably over the past several years, and since technically I am like I started getting curly and then all of a sudden menopause, and then all of a sudden the front of my hair only has turned really curly. So I normally brush it out or do whatever. I wear my hair up a lot, because I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. I'm not like someone who's out in the business world or whatever. But I'm trying a curl cream to see if I can get the rest of my hair to curl up so that I can wear it this way sometimes. Because otherwise it just looks like I have like a lion's mane up front here. The rest of it is just straight. But yeah, so sorry.
Some kind of a strange mullet of curliness.
I know, right?
Yeah,
you can see how curly this is. You really can't. It doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with the topic. So,
it's very cute.
Yes. Thanks, Jamie. I appreciate that.
Yes, sorry. On with the topic. My bad.
That's okay. On with the topic. So today I'm excited about this topic. Actually, came across some of this research and I was like, yes, like last week, if you've been following us for the last 2 weeks, we've talked about how publishing and Christian publishing has been changing over the last several years. And so that's good information to have, but really what's been changing with Christian readers? That's the real question. So we're going to talk about that today. There is a rise in Christian fiction, isn't there, Jamie?
Yeah, there really is. They're kind of calling it a quiet boom.
Mm-hmm.
Christian fiction is seeing really strong growth. Apparently, there's a approximately 14% surge, and just
And
it's
that
becoming more popular.
and that's in the last year. 14% has raised in the last year. And I think you can kind of see it though, can't you? Like I feel like people are talking about Christianity more. I think that unfortunately the death of Charlie Kirk has also brought it some people back to their roots or people back talking about it and people are discovering. I think there are some people that are discovering that there's actually a genre called Christian fiction and they had no idea. So
Well, I've been, yeah, the anecdotal research or anecdotal messages that I've been getting is that the younger people are very returning to church and
mhm,
religion in general.
yeah.
So, because there are just more people returning to the faith, there are then going to be more Christian readers. They go hand in hand.
And now, mind you, this 14% surge that we are talking about is Christian fiction. This is not Christian nonfiction. The reason why I didn't share those numbers because they are way more than 14%, but that's also inflated because Christian nonfiction includes Bibles. It's very hard for me when I was looking through it to find research that would separate everything that's not a Bible because clearly we're not writing Bibles as authors. There's a lot
Hmm.
of people that follow us or that are in our community that write nonfiction. So I don't have great statistics for you. I'm gonna throw some links in the show notes when the show's over, but for you to look at this research that we had come across. But um yeah, so we're talking fiction today. But according to Written Word Media, 77% of authors now identify as self-published. Now let's pause on that for a minute. 77% of authors are now identifying, they're self-identifying as self-published, and only about 5% will call themselves published or traditionally published. So I mean there's some hybrid, I mean, that's why the numbers aren't adding up. But that's a big deal. That's
Yeah.
that's us, right? We were in the minority back in the day, right? And now we're kind of taking over.
And so I feel like the availability is really exposing the desire, possibly. So,
Mhm,
do you know what I'm saying? Like, there are people who may have wanted to have this option, but
mhm.
the gatekeepers weren't providing it for them.
Right.
So, now that there is an option to purchase these kinds of books, they're doing well.
And we talked about this the last couple of weeks too, is that now that you can be self-published, a book that you might write that a bigger publishing house wouldn't accept because there's not a large enough audience. You don't care about the large audience. You're looking for like a mid-lister audience. You're looking for the people there because there's an audience out there for every book. So because of that, I think there's more types of books out there, and so that's also bringing a rise in Christian fiction reading. So,
Well, and that I think speaks hand in hand with the next little fact we've got here. The Alliance of Independent Authors, ALLI, they say that newer authors actually are preferring to self publish, and probably for that reason, right, Jen? They don't
oh,
necessarily have to write to the market that the gatekeepers used to insist that you write to. So it's not a fallback, it's a first choice now.
right. And so if there are more types of books out there, there are more types of Christians out there looking for books, and they're finding the books that they couldn't find before, right? Because they
Mhm.
weren't being published before. So more books are being published more than ever. We've talked about this too. There's a negative to that as well. There's a bunch of garbage books out there.
There's a
But
bunch of garbage
but if
out
you're
there.
showing up here, if you're watching this podcast, if you're communicating with other Christian authors and you're not one of those people. You're looking for excellence. You're looking to put out a book that is going to be that represent uh Christ in a way that deserves you. Catherine Carroll says that goes along with the ratio of book sales too, other than the Bible. Exactly. Yeah. Christian nonfiction outsells like everything because the Bible is in there, right? Catherine also says the publishers are also getting very safe with what they put out between that and the amount of time it takes to publish. Yep, we talked about that last week. Indies can be more flexible, right? Because trends change. So we can change and write to market a lot easier and faster than because then we can put it out as soon as we need to. Piper says there's also Thomas Umstadt's theory that Christian publishing houses are woke, which many Christians are not. Because we talked about that last week too. Excuse me. The Christian publishing houses are no longer independently owned. They're all owned by the bigger conglomerates. So I would agree with, for those of you who don't know who Thomas Umstattd is, he has 2 different podcasts. Great guy. One of them is novel marketing podcast, and the other one is Christian publishing podcast. I'll have to look that one up. But yeah, take a look at his stuff. It's good stuff. Okay. I also think, Jamie, what do you think about the fact that we can find Christian stories in more places than we used to be?
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is a question I had when we were discussing this last week, is where are people finding books? It used to be a whole different thing. Mm-hmm. It used to absolutely be bookstores is where you would find, and newspapers. Like, what is in the newspaper? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, this is how people would find something to read. Like the New York Times bestseller, that's a thing people brandish about, is like, oh, well, it used to be everybody read the New York Times newspaper. Yeah. So it's not the same world of discovery anymore.
Oh, Piper's helping me out. She says he has 3 podcasts, novel marketing, Christian publishing podcast, and author update. Oh yeah, I forgot about author update. Okay. So nowadays discovery looks different, right? Like you can still find them in bookstores. Talked about that last week. You can still find them through traditional media. Like Jamie was saying, like find like ads in the newspaper and whatever, if you still read the newspaper, but realistically, now it looks more like Amazon and using Kindle Unlimited. Even Barnes and Noble, which is a brick and mortar store, has their version of ebooks, and they have the Nook, and it's just a whole new ball game for Christians. And I talked about this last week, that I think that even the older generation is leaning into ebooks because they don't want to get out of the house, right? And their children are buying them Kindles, and they can instantly get books. And so I even see that with my father. My dad has a Kindle. He's not much of a reader. He's never read any of my books, loser. But but he has a Kindle himself. And so I think that, like, yeah, it's just totally different.
And you can change the size of the font on your ebook so that you don't have to buy a large print edition. Like, it's just such a different world.
Yeah. So, okay. So growth of indie publishing to direct reader platforms is affecting this. And so we're going to get into, and then things like Book Talk and YouTube.
Right.
That, I mean, Book Talk exploded for books. And now, like, people that were always readers, right? Now people are proud to be readers. And like, there's these like army of people online that are like, proud to be a bookworm. And
yeah, because it's been trendy to unplug, and not just trendy, but healthfully trendy. It's a good idea to get away from electronic and to go analog with your life. So people are turning to things like knitting and reading to kind of unplug, and that's can only help.
Right. And it doesn't mean, just aside, go back to last week's episode too, it doesn't mean that paperback or hardcovers are dead. Just the opposite. I think that places like Barnes and Noble being so much online, and Amazon like that has made people be able to have more access to books. You used to be able to walk into a Christian bookstore and you could buy from what was on the shelf. Now you can go to Amazon, you can buy any Christian book you want. Like, it's there.
So, and get it in a couple days.
Like, I just before I went live, I got an alert. I ordered these clips things for my garden hoops, and they're here already. I ordered them last night and they're here already. So like,
wow,
it's just crazy. So, okay. So here is now we're to the meat of what we want to talk about today, is what Christian readers actually want now. So I came across this research from the ECPA. Now, the ECPA, I had never heard of them before, but they are the Evangelical Christian Publishers Association. Who even knew that they existed? But they do Christian. We should know this. It's embarrassing that I didn't know this, because they do Christian bestseller lists. we tend to rely on Amazon's bestseller list, right? But there are still organizations out there that look at more than just Amazon, and they use Nielsen book scan data to do their research. So they're doing more than just, hey, what's selling right now? They're looking at specific things about the market. And so they provide a detailed insight into Christian book sales, what's popular, the patterns that are happening, and what patterns are rising and which ones are going down. It's really great stuff. So today we're going to talk about what their most recent findings found. So Jamie, what's the first thing that they found?
Clean reads without
Yes.
explicit content.
Yes. Now, of course, you know me, I was like, yeah, as a romance writer, a clean Christian romance writer, I was very excited to see that. But there has been a rise, I think everybody knows this, in kind of the steamy stuff out there, the spicy stuff out there. Book Talk has really increased people's awareness of some of these authors, right? And it did my heart good to see that Christian readers are looking for just the opposite. They see that and they're like, no. We want some clean reads. We don't want anything explicit. Now, this probably goes beyond romance. It could also mean like without like violence and without anything explicit in it too. But that's what people are looking for. So
yeah, and it makes sense because there is a lot of preaching about visual explicit content and the complications to marriage and family that can bring. And so it would make sense that women, who are usually the target audience for steamy romance, who are Christian, are trying to kind of mirror the advice that is given to men, as far as not to partake visually, so.
Agreed. All right.
But at the same time, they don't want everything so sanitized that there's no discussion of mental health issues and the struggles that come along with a person of faith who's having those types of issues, right, Jen?
Right. And that's what the study showed is the second thing we're going to address, excuse me, is that people are asking and looking for stories that address mental health and faith. So here's a direct quote from their findings. It says, readers are seeking stories that offer practical guidance alongside spiritual insight, creating demand for narratives that tackle depression, anxiety, trauma, and healing within biblical frameworks. This trend reflects broader cultural conversations about mental health, with Christian fiction serving as a bridge between psychological understanding and spiritual support. So people are they're not looking for you to give them the answer or a solution for their anxiety or their depression. What they're looking for is stories that show characters that are struggling with the same things that they're struggling with, and showing how there is a bridge between the Christian spiritual aspect of your book and the psychological understanding of it. Like they are looking for some answers. And I totally agree with this. I think that when I write flaws in my characters, I can't just give them flaws. I either have to have a solution for the flaw, or I have to show a way that they can work with the flaw, because that's real life, right? I have characters that have problems with anger, and they have to deal with that. Like, it doesn't just all of a sudden like they kneel and then stand up from an altar like they're completely healed, which God can do that. But showing our characters in real life stuff, and people are looking for mental health and faith combined in the books.
And I think that this just speaks a lot to what the gospel has done in the world in general, because I feel like a lot of people who come to Christ after living a life maybe outside of the church and the structure, Christians just aren't naive little we know nothing about the world humans, if they ever were. Okay. So you might say once upon a time, Christians don't know about the real world. It's like the old homeschooling trope. If you're homeschooled, you're unsocialized, right? Yeah. And so maybe a narrative where everything is squeaky clean and no real life bad stuff ever happens would resonate as true with Christians of old, maybe, which I doubt. But even more so, I feel people are coming to Christ after long-lived lives where they know that struggles and issues and suffering is happening, and they want something that's going to acknowledge that and be realistic about it.
I can tell you whenever somebody says something about homeschool kids not being socialized, they don't know any homeschool kids. They truly
Mm.
don't,
Or
because
they don't know that they know them.
yes, exactly. I went to a wedding and sat next to a friend from we've been friends for decades, and he knows I homeschool my kids, and then he forgot it for a second, and he started like, "Oh, homeschool, blah blah blah," and I was like, "You have no idea what you're even talking about." Like you were so, but that's a whole nother topic. But the mental health aspect of it is that people will also, like, I ran into somebody, like, not to give out too much about my family, but I do have we have had some struggles with mental health in our house. And I was at the doctor's office with my daughter and ran into someone else that we knew, and she was shocked. She's like, "I just can't believe that you are here." And I'm like, "Why?" Like, why are we treating mental health like like only certain people have to deal with it, or that it's like so taboo? Like, if I had high blood pressure, you better believe I would be on the right medication so that I wouldn't have a stroke, right? So anyway, that's a whole nother, I could be on a soapbox
Right.
about that forever.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Let's see.
So
Go ahead.
yeah, Jen, I was thinking as I was talking about how, they want it to be gritty and realistic, but at the same time, they want hope-centered narratives. Like they want the good guy to win in the end. And it's funny too because I took a media class, a couple, whatever. But the point is, movies and books and everything kind of went through a period where gritty reality of life, because I guess it was kind of fighting back against the stuff that was released after World War II, where Happy Days Are Here Again, and
Mhm.
everybody had dinner at the table, and the biggest problem was that Archie Anderson's dad couldn't take a bath because the plumbing was messed up. Like that's the biggest drama that ever happened in those shows. And
Mhm.
I think that those narratives were good and safe for people who were reeling from trauma. But then their children grew up and they were like, bad things happen in the world. And that was all that media was for such a long amount of time, that
Mhm.
now we really want a hero, like Bonnie
Yeah.
Tyler saying about, we want people who are going to conquer and win. And we want role models to look up to. We want hope-centered narratives.
Yeah. I mean, because this is Christian fiction. So take what we said earlier about the fact that you want real struggles for your characters. People want to read and see reality in there. But guess what? In the end, they want there to be hope, because guess what? Jesus wins in the end. Like
Mm.
our whole belief
Spoiler
system.
alert.
Yeah, spoiler. Our whole belief system is built on hope. And our books need to reflect that. And so this is one place where I feel like we definitely contrast against the secular publishing world, because I feel like all of our books need to have some sort of hope center narrative if you're going to call it a Christian book. I could be wrong. You could prove me wrong. I would love to hear it. I'd love to have that conversation with somebody. But as of right now, that's how I feel. And this research shows is that's what readers are looking for. They're looking for hope in the writing. But I would argue that if you don't hurt your characters, how are you going to share hope? We've
Mm-hmm.
said it before over and over again that you need to hurt your characters, and it's okay to hurt your characters, but you can't just you have to give the contrast, right? There has to be a character arc. Hurt your characters and show them coming out on the other side of it with God still at the center. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I say. That's how I believe in about writing, and this research has shown that as well. So,
When I think that transfers very nicely into our next topic, which is what does this mean and how do you write based on this? What this means for writers, how do you adapt and win? And your tip right there, Jen, was pretty much the first bullet point we have here is write deeper, not safer. Like you
right.
said, you've got to hurt your characters. Like not having that bad thing happen to the character is the safer choice.
Right, and you need to take more emotional risks, more drama in your writing, and more realism. for sure.
Yeah. And then I think, oh, this is fun because we talked about this many times. Knowing your reader avatar, and I don't remember who you said inspired you or has like a really specific reader that they have, who inspired you about this.
So there was a few, but again, we
Okay.
talked about Thomas Umstattd earlier. He calls it as
Mm,
Timothy. He has a very specific,
Timothy.
and when he's writing, he only thinks about this made up person named Timothy. Um, so for me, I have this image of a grandma sitting down and reading my books. I have a couple of people in my mind, and don't try to write for the masses because there's lots of reasons why not to do that. But think about your one person. Now think about what are they struggling with emotionally, spiritually, what kind of hope are they looking for in their life, and that's who you're writing for. Sorry. I think also too, our next bullet point is important is that you focus on the story first and then the message second. Whoops, we lost you, Jamie. Sound wise, we don't have you.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
We've had a couple of episodes where we talk about not preaching in your
Mhm.
writing and how to write without writing a whole sermon as your story. And this is a tip to kind of remind you of that.
Right, because if you have like a message, like you want to say that let's say that drinking is bad. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're going to write a whole story about drinking being bad. Or how about you have a story about a family that's falling apart and the reason is alcoholism. But the story is the family that's falling apart. That's the difference. That's why it's not preachy. So the story has to be first and then your message second.
Yeah.
And then, as always, as a writer, you need to focus on your craft and in presentation. This is what this whole podcast is all about. We
Mm-hmm.
talk about
Yeah.
writing and about book covers and just excellence in everything, because it doesn't matter how much work you put into it. It doesn't matter how good of writing it is if you haven't put the time into editing it, if you haven't put a good cover on it, if you haven't done all those things that show up as excellence, no one's going to read the book. No one's going to ever see it.
Okay, and can I also say, no one's ever going to see your book or read your book if you're not capitalizing on these marketing trends. So,
Mhm.
Amazon and Kobo, when we were talking earlier about how they have now all of these digital ways to reach people, so do you.
Mhm.
So do you. There's nobody gatekeeping buying advertising on all of these different platforms and in all of these different ways where you can reach people. And so it's funny because I just happen to have somebody pop up in my social media feed. Do not do this. Okay. What's the timestamp? 28 minutes. Go to 28 minutes. Do not do this. This fella made a TikTok like, I have 500 followers. I have not sold 500 books. What more do you people want me to do? Do you want me to dress up my cat and make it dance around? I've told you what my poetry is about. I've told you, and like literally was berating people as if he thought he deserved book sales because he went and started a TikTok account and got 500 followers. And like, I didn't even waste my time responding, like, people do not owe you a book sale.
Yeah,
Right. And
right.
also, what this is free, what you're doing. Go out and buy some ads, dude. Go out and like use the tools that you have to reach this audience that you have crafted this narrative for. And so that's just a little bit of extra free advice. Do not berate people for not purchasing your book. Your book is not for everybody.
Right. That
Sorry.
helps us actually go into the next bullet point is to leverage trends without chasing them blindly. Like TikTok is great. Like, well, I don't think it's great. I don't, that's a whole nother episode. But social media, however you decide to use it, writing to market, these are all good things, but don't just go running after them blindly. Think about who your reader is, what your purpose of writing is, and who you're writing for. And when I say who, I mean who. Like your story belongs to God first, right? So don't just, stay authentic to what God has called you to do. Don't just go chasing after all the trends.
Yeah, and that also feeds into building connection,
Yeah.
not just books, right? So, I mean, okay, so this guy obviously now went on TikTok and got those 500 followers to sell books to them. He was not getting 500 followers to, connect with people or get to know who his readers are,
Mm-hmm.
find out what they like, any of those things, very obviously. But
Right.
that doesn't mean you're going to do that,
Right.
because the more you know, and honestly, when you build these connections, you end up with like friends unexpectedly, and you also like they'll know they're Christians by their love. What is that
Mm-hmm.
song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are supposed to be loving one another at the end of the day. And I always think it's so funny when I'm working with people who are Christians and they're just like, I just hate people.
Oh,
Anyway, whatever.
no, but community is so important, especially in this day and age of AI. Like people want to know that you're real. They don't want to read books from people that are not real. So I've been ignoring the chat. I'm so sorry, everybody. Let's go back. I'm sure there's some great stuff. Catherine says they're looking for characters they can relate to. Agreed. Jason says,
Mm-hmm.
LOL, I was homeschooled and many are surprised how social I am. Yeah, you would never guess if you met my kids, Jamie's kids. Like like I wish my kids were a little less.
Socialization is one thing I got right. Yeah.
And I wish they were a little less social sometimes. I'm like, no, where are we going now? What's happening right
Yeah.
now? Yeah. Okay. Jason says, I shared a short snippet of my writing with a friend that struggles with depression. It was a character seeing all the struggle around him and not giving up. It was crazy how much that helped him. Yeah.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think about books I've read, fiction books that like I could really relate to that helped me through times for sure. Um, I thought she was talking to Jason. She's talking to the person you were talking. Catherine Carroll says, check your entitlement, buddy. I thought she was talking to Jason. No, she was referring to the gentleman that Jamie was talking about.
Yeah.
Let's see. It seems more people it seems more common to have people do that. I stopped following a lot of them as a result. Yeah, we as a podcast, when we first started out, like within the first couple of years, I don't remember his name, but a gentleman reached out to us to be on the podcast. It was his first book, had nothing to do with writing. It was um it was a he was a writer and he just wanted us to promote his book. And he wanted us to put it all over our Twitter and all these things. And we're like, sorry, that's not what we do. And then he berated us. I wish I would have screenshotted it all. Like he berated us on Twitter for the world to see about how we talk about informing, encouraging, he put in all caps, and supporting in all caps. And when like all he wanted was some free some free promotion. And like that's not what we do. We're here to support each other through the journey. And that's not going to sell books anyways, people. Like you got to find your reader. Like just going after other Christian writers to buy your books is not going to help. So, anywho, so we understand it. So, okay. So ultimately, the growth that's happening in Christian fiction is exciting. We should all take
Mm-hmm.
note of it because this is an opportunity for us to level up and realize this is what people are looking for. Am I doing that? So that's where.
Wow, Jen, I thought we were going to have a lot of time to talk about the 30 days of writing sprints challenge or writing sprints challenge that ended yesterday, but we're running pretty much right on time.
Well, we did start 10 minutes late.
No, that's
So
my
that's why.
fault.
Yeah, so that's why it probably feels like that. So but yes, the 30 days of writing sprint prompts, a writing sprint challenge. We had it this month. Last night was our last night, and it was a lot of fun. We ended up not doing we've been doing like 3 sprints a night, though the challenge is 1 sprint. And we didn't do the last sprint because somebody, I won't say who, but she accidentally closed the whole meeting out for all of us.
I'm a troublemaker this 24 hours. I don't know what's going on.
We all popped back in and it was funny. It was fine. So yeah, it was really good. I got a lot accomplished, which I will talk about, I think, in the coming days. But yeah, it was exciting for me, even though I did not write all 3 sprints every single night. I wrote every night I wrote all 30 days except for 2. but I have way more than 30 sprints because I did more writing every night. So it was exciting. And Jamie had mentioned earlier that having connection with your readers will help you find friends as well. Well, having connection with our listeners and our followers has created friends for us, and it feels like we were just writing with our friends. It's with those of us, those that are in our Patreon that support us and are able to sprint with us live. It's just a really great thing. So if you're interested in being a supporter of this podcast, you can just go on over to Patreon. The link is in the show notes, and you can join all the fun that way too. The Mrs. Robertson says, it was such a pleasure spending the month with you all. Very grateful for you ladies. Yeah, for those of you that are Patreon supporters, like I'd love for you to share what you think in the chat, what you think about being a Patreon supporter. And she Ray says, join. Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of but it does help this podcast, which is getting more and more expensive every year. Jamie and I have to have, and Tina need to have a finance meeting soon. I've been compiling all the stuff. But yeah, so anyway, if you find it in your heart to support us, we would love to have you join us for some live things that we do every month. And then twice a year, we do these sprint challenges and get to see each other every day. It's pretty exciting. So
yeah, and if you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, it won't cost you a dime, and that will also help us.
Yes, that's true. Or wherever you're listening to us, like and subscribe and share all the things. It really does make a difference. Also, I asked everybody in the in our sprinting last night, I said, hey, have you guys been seeing our shorts showing up in your feed on YouTube? And they said, yeah. So anyone, if you see our shorts, if you would like them, if you would like this episode, it just helps the algorithm to see that people are seeing these things. We are really trying to reach more writers and grow this community. So we would appreciate any help you can give us. So, all right. So because of that, so last night we did our writing, the last writing of the month, and that is what we're going to share today in our feeding of the backs. Gotta change this banner out. So Jamie, why don't you share with us what the prompt was, and then read to us what you wrote.
Okay, so the prompt was, trust me, just take the next step. And here's what I wrote. But I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. Tabitha, you're 9 years old, but I'm already at a disadvantage. She pulled at the skin on her bottom lip with a thumb and a forefinger. I wanted to tell her to stop that, but it seemed like too much of a mom thing to say. And while Tabby's mom was my best friend, it wasn't matronly scolding the girl needed right now. So instead, I reached into my center console and pulled out the second tube of chapstick from the BOGO deal I'd gotten at Publix last week, and mused that there really was no such thing as a coincidence, as I caught glimpses in the rear view of the girl slathering on a layer of the slippery goo. My parents have me in public school. This pretty much eliminates my chances for Ivy League. Not true. Your grades are excellent and you test well. I'm sure by the time you're ready, by the time I'm ready, the competition will be even more fierce than it is right now. Maybe back in your day, being valedictorian was enough to write your ticket, but it takes so much more than that now. And what career, pray tell, is this Ivy League education supposed to be preparing you for? That's just it, she practically whined. Haven't you been listening? I'm sorry. I looked to my own daughter for help, but she was busily circling items in a seed catalog and listening to something through her earbuds. Tabby, can I just pass along a bit of advice to you? The girl didn't answer, but she didn't protest either, so I ventured forth. It's a sort of message I've been picking up over and over again on my social media feed, in the sermons I've been listening to. Sermons? I held a warding hand up. I held up a warding off hand. Don't worry, I'm not going to preach. It isn't that kind of message. This is more like what I would call fortune cookie wisdom. Fortune what? Never mind, I said, wondering if Tabby had ever even seen a fortune cookie, wondering when was the last time I had even seen one, and if that was even the right thing to call them anymore. It's just like a little self-help slogan I feel compelled to share, okay? Oh, all right, what is it then? You ready? Yeah. Okay, here it is. I cleared my throat and loudly proclaimed, "Worrying only causes you to suffer twice." The car fell so quiet I could hear the tinny sound of music coming from my daughter's AirPod. "Say it again." "Worrying only causes you to suffer twice." "Worrying only causes you to suffer twice," Tabby repeated. "That's it. Do you get it?" "Yeah." Tabby smiled. "Yeah, I do. Worrying about something bad that's going to happen makes you unhappy, and then that thing happens that you were worried about, so you suffer about the same thing twice. That's pretty clever." "Thanks, but I can't take the credit. Like I said, it was social media that brought the message to me."
Mm-hmm.
My daughter took her AirPod out then and leaned over to show Tabby the strawberry planter she had circled and started describing where in the yard she was considering placing it. Time's up.
So good. Okay, first of all, so relatable because can I tell you, I feel like my daughter's friends like talk to me and ask me for advice, possibly more than my daughters do. Like my daughters do come to me for advice, but I think that's very relatable. I think that the friends parents just seem more approachable sometimes for kids. And so I love that. Um I love the name Tabby. You just do such a good job with characters, Jamie. You feel like they always feel like they're real people or that it's been a real experience and yeah, that was really well done.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I just want to make a plug for American Heritage Girls or Homeschool Co op or
Mhm.
any place where you can find other women to pour into your children. Don't be stingy and jealous of the title of mom because, as Jen said, you will find out that those women who are available to mentor your children, who you know would give the same advice that you would if you were not in the room, are priceless and irreplaceable.
Mhm.
So if you have young children, don't be so clutchy to them, I guess, for lack of a better word. They need those other people who will advise them because they're not going to come to you.
Yeah. No matter how
That's the
great your
development.
relationship is, they are at times in their life going to go to someone else, and you want them to go to Christ-centered other women and men. So, yes. So,
Oh,
love
hey,
that.
thanks. I appreciate it.
Okay, I wrote from Widows of the West. I'm not sure
Ooh,
which one, but okay.
all right.
The wind whipped hard around her, causing her skirts to whip around her. Said that twice. And the lantern to jerk violently in her hand. By the grace of God, it did not blow out the flame. The storm was close, and she would need the light it offered to make her way back to the ranch house. It was dark, and the wind was loud, so she neither saw or heard the river, but she certainly felt it the minute her boots slipped on the edge, and down she went, flat bottom in its icy stream. She
Mm.
scrambled back up the bank, still clutching the miracle lamp. She was wet and cold from having discovered the river in such a manner, but even in her damp state, she couldn't help but be grateful. The river meant she was close. She knew she need only cross over it somehow, and the warmth of the ranch would be just up the embankment. Dear Lord, she prayed loudly, as if God wouldn't be able to hear her over the coming storm. If you get me out of this, I promise I will never again go wandering off this late in the evening. I tried to warn you, came a voice from the darkness. Momentarily startled, she stood. Lord, please tell me that's you. A deep chuckle confirmed that a deep chuckle confirmed what she already knew to be true. Did you seriously come down here to gloat? No, ma'am. I came down to help you. I'd like to tell you that I don't need your help. Like to? Yes, I'd like to, but I can't. I do need your help. I can't find my way across. She still couldn't see him in the darkness, but she knew he wouldn't leave her stranded. To your left, about 6 feet. She slowly made her way 6 feet downriver. Okay, now what? She screamed as a hand reached out of the darkness. Don't be afraid, he said. Just take my hand. He was now close enough for her lantern to make out most of him, and she could see that he was stretched out, 1 foot on the other bank, one in the middle of the stream, his left hand extended toward her. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, you know what strikes me about this is
Mm,
how physical it is. There is so much talk about her hand on the lantern and the wind whipping the skirts around. And it feels so appropriate for the fact that she's dealing with this storm. And I
mhm,
think that this just shows how effortlessly you understand what you try to communicate to people in words. So you try to do like a show, don't tell. and you try to talk about pacing and things like that, but to understand that in a storm, your front of mind is what is physically going on, and all the mental that you get is the prayer, because the mental stuff kind of has to take a back seat. So it's just a really well done piece of writing for that reason.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Can I be completely transparent?
Hmm.
So we wrote last night, and when I was finished writing it, I'm like, I've already written this scene, and I just wrote it kind of differently. And so I went back through, and I found in November, I found the one that I wrote. Well, I had both of those windows open next to each other, and I just read the wrong one. That wasn't what I wrote last night. But I was halfway through before I realized it. It's way better than what I wrote last night. So I'm really glad I shared this one. But I have to be honest, I didn't write that last night, and I'm really
That's so
sorry.
crazy.
It is a sprint. It is a sprint that I did in 15 minutes that I did during the writing sprint challenge, but it was the last writing sprint challenge.
That is so funny. Oh
So
my
sorry.
goodness. I love that.
Don't kick me out. But it's way better. But I do, like, I was comparing them, and then I forgot that I was comparing them. Like, I had them up next to each other, and there are some things I probably will just tweak to make it, like, to add what I wrote yesterday, but most of what I wrote yesterday I don't like as well as I like this. So that's just how it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't really have time for you to read the other one.
No, we don't, but that's okay. Maybe I'll read it to you guys tonight. Tonight, for those of you that are our Patreon supporters, we're going to get together again tonight to celebrate. Okay, so Jamie, we got to move on because, we got to move on with our day, but what is next for you?
Well, April is over, and the goal I had, aside from sprinting every day, which I did, was to just have reading be kind of more front of mind. And that whole advice that I gave to that man who's ranting that nobody's buying his books, like to market them and things like that. These are things that I've known for a long time that I have to do if my writing is ever going to go anywhere. I've got a lot of work to do, and I have to make a commitment to butt and seat. And I felt like step one to getting there was taking part in this writing challenge and putting everything else on hold until it was over. And so now for me, it's figuring out the way forward. And I have to determine how much time I'm going to give myself to, like, what does that mean and what does that look like as far as a consistent writing time or something like that. And so that's the next challenge that I have. What's next for you?
Well, speaking of consistent writing time, we had requests from our Patreon supporters, and we are going to follow through with that. And they have asked for an open office time when anyone can go in at any point. They could message each other and say, hey, I'm going to go write. Anyone want to write with me? It's called mirroring. Is that what it's called? There's a science behind
body
it.
doubling.
Body doubling. That's what it is. And so there's another added addition of why you should be a Patreon supporter is that you can, for the $5 level and above, you could be part of that as well. So, for me, it will be taking part in as much writing time with someone else this next month. I have some other changes happening in my life, which I'll talk about later. And it's summertime, so the garden part of it's like it's already going in, and it's like summer does not slow down for me. It gets crazier for me. Like I kind of get relaxed during the school year, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so I have I just have to write. I never felt more organized with this book. I never felt more ready to really just kind of hammer out the chapters. And so that's what's next for me. It's just doing that. So
yeah, your talk about the garden is where the seed catalog came from in my sprint.
Is it? When you said it, I was like, oh, I want to hang out with this kid. I don't know what kid would like that, but yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone who was in the live chat. Thank you for those of you that are listening. And again, until next time, may your pen be prolific and may your deadlines be met. May all of your words honor Christ. Bye, everyone.
Bye.